Hey, girls and boys, it is Mr. McAndrew, the math coach. Very excited to be with you today. Again, we are going to do some rounding. You may remember that from previous years, but rounding is basically when you take a number and you round it to a certain place value, right? To help you get a sense of how big that number is, because sometimes we don't even need to know the exact number. We just need like an estimate. For example, sometimes we just, like if I'm adding, let's say 63 plus 28 and I get an answer, I might want to, like, did that make sense? So like 63 is about 60, 28 is about 30, 60 plus 30 is 90, so my answer should be around 90, right? So you may remember doing this before, but I wanted to do a review. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to be rounding with number lines. So what it says, actually what I want you to do, you should have this packet out, right? It says Monday, rounding and number lines. I want you to actually go to the next page, and it says this. It says rounding to the nearest multiple of 10 number lines, okay? I'm going to move my head out of the way, all right? And we're going to label this, because when you round a number to the nearest 10, you are actually rounding it to the nearest multiple of 10. So multiples of 10 would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, on and on and on. So right now, get your pencil, okay? And we are going to label this number line. So this first line is going to be 0, okay? And then we have 10, right? And we have 20, 30, 40, 50. So I'm just going to keep going. If I go too fast, just pause the video and catch up when you can, all right? Put in 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 would be the next one. What's the next multiple of 10? What's 10 more than 100? 110. Okay? 120, 130, 140. So a little bit tricky here, but here's 140, we're going to call this down here 150. Okay? So 150. So one trick you can do if the numbers get smushed together is I rotate the paper and I write it in like this. 160, 170, like that. You see, because you have more room. Okay, so finish writing those in, and then come back in a minute when you're done, okay? All right, so welcome back. So this is what you should have. You should go all the way up to 290, okay? So we have all these multiples of 10 up to 290. Of course, I mean, a million is a multiple of 10. If you skip counted by tens and you kept going, you'd hit any number that ended in 0. Okay? But you don't want to round like a huge number to 10, because then it doesn't really help you that much. So what we're going to do is, I want you to then put this paper next to your number line, okay? So you're going to put it like below it or next to it, because we need these numbers. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So the first number we have is 68. Okay, so 68. So the first thing we do is it says write each number on the number line where it belongs. So we have to find 68. I'm actually going to do that with a different color marker. So here's 60. Here's 70. What do you think is right in between 60 and 70? What's between 0 and 10? What's halfway between 0 and 10? 5. So halfway between 60 and 70 is 65. So 68 should be a little bit. So I'm going to put it on top so we don't get all smushed in there. Should be right about there. Okay? That's 68. Then it says, put the closest multiples of 10 before the number and after the number. All right, so here's what that looks like. I can see on my number line that it's between 60 and 70. So over here, I'm going to put 60 here and 70 here. because I know that 68 is between 60 and 70. And then it says circle the one that it's closest to, right? So if you look on the number line, it tells you, it gives you the answer. It's clearly closer to 70, right? So then we circle 70. So 68 is closest to 70. All right, let's try the next one. If I'm going a little fast, just pause the video, okay, or go back and watch it again if you need to. Let's look at 15. Where do you think 15 is on this number line? I want you to write down where you think it is right now. So I would say 15 is right here, right? Because it's between 10 and 20. So it's that mark right there. There's the 15. So 15 is between 10 and 20. So here's the question. Is it closer to 10 or 20? Well, there's no answer because it's actually closest to both. It's 5 away from 10 and it's 5 away from 20, right? 15 take away 5 is 10 and 15 plus 5 is 20. But you may remember this from 3rd grade. Whenever we are rounding, we always round. If it's right in between two multiples, you always round up. So we're going to say 15 is closest to 20. Okay? All right, let's do one more before I let you go ahead here. Let's go down to one of the bigger ones, like 167. Okay, it's a big one. So where on your number line is 167? Why don't you put an X or a line where you think it is? Okay, so what I would do is I would say, here's 160. I know that's 165 right there, so 167 is probably just a little bit past that, so right about there. Okay? So I can see it's between 160 and 170. So over here I'm going to write 160 and 170. Now which one is it closest to? Well, you can see that it's closest to 170. Right? It's closest to 170. It's only 3 away from 170, and it's 7 away from 160. Okay? So finish this page, all right, and the same way that we just did it together. So for each number, you find it on the number line, okay, and then you put the 2 multiples that it's between and circle the one that it's closest to. All right, boys and girls, awesome job. As always, love being with you, and I'll see you soon.